we're doing here is performance management training for custodial, and I apologize for not getting it into the title here. So for maintenance, grounds, service, and custodial folks, you will all use a very similar process. Clearly, your job responsibilities will be different, but everything else within the system will be the same. So for today, I'm actually going to use the sample for custodians, so you can see, but I'll make sure to point out for the grounds and service folks, as well as maintenance, some of the areas that might be a bit different for you. Your supervisors went through the training just a little bit a while ago, and they went through the whole complete training so that they would have a good understanding of the whole system. We'll try and get through a lot of those pieces for you as well, so you'll understand how the system works, but you don't have as much to have to worry about as they do. All right, so here is our agenda for today's session. We're going to talk about our process overview. So basically just some generic items about the process itself, how you'll go about logging into the performance management portal, navigating through the system, which I hope you'll find to be very easy, and then completing your actions. If you're going to log in, first of all, let me say that when they launch reviews, which will be sometime the week of July 12th, everybody in the whole campus is going to launch at the same time. So you as an employee are going to receive an email. Within that email, there will be a link that you will be able to click on, and it will take you to the performance portal. If for some reason you get kicked out, or you get called away to do something, you may misplace, I would say hold on to that email if you can at all possible, so that you'll always have that link. But if not, you can always come to the Human Resources website. It's like shown here. And for current employees, there is a link right here, Performance Evaluation Plan. You can click on that and you'll be brought back into the system. This resource will be available to employees, as well as we have a kind of a generic high-level guide for folks. And the HR team has done an amazing job of putting together a performance management toolkit. So you will see some links to that as well as we make our way through the system. So hopefully you will have all of the resources that you need to be able to get into the system. Okay, so once you're in, this is what the screen is going to look like for you. So this is in fact what we call our performance portal. Supervisors and employees will see basically the same screen, okay? So employees will use My Performance Review. That's this little, what we call a widget, or this little area right here on My Performance Review. Your supervisors will also use that because they will also have their evaluations. You will not see anybody else's evaluation except for your own. And managers will see team performance. So when you log in and you see this whole screen, just know that you're going to focus on My Performance Review. You also have an About Me. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. So for our MGS evaluation processes, we have 3 review processes that use exactly the same steps. So custodial, grounds, and service will all use the top one, where they will have basically 6 steps in the process. As you can see from this slide, the employee owns step 1 and the employee owns step 4. You will be included in step 3, clearly, because your supervisor will schedule a meeting with you, but there's no particular action within the system that you have to do. For all of our maintenance folks, if we have folks that are on the call, you're going to follow step 4, the 4th review process. So yours will be a little more in-depth. The only steps for the custodial, grounds, and service, as I said, are actually steps 1 and steps 4. Step 3, you'll be involved in a discussion. For the maintenance folks, you will have steps 1, step 3, step 5. So generally, you all have the same types of actions within the system. When the evaluation is in the complete step, there's really nothing that you need to do. The system will automatically move it into that step, but you will always have access to view your evaluation once it's complete. And going forward, you will be able to see all of your annual evaluations within this system. You will also have the ability to print one out if you want to print one out. So I know some employees like to do that. Okay, so simply put, step one belongs to you. As I said earlier, you'll receive an email notification letting you know that it's now time to log in and review your job responsibilities. Along with a few other items, you will have the ability to review as well. When you do log in to the system, as I said, you are going to pay attention to the My Performance Review, and you will see the New button. That is your review, and you will simply click on the title. Any place that you see that green title, you will be able to click on that. If you hover over these buttons, these are available to everybody. You can't move anything, you can't do anything, but if you do hover over them, and we'll show you when we get into the site, you will be able to see all of the various steps and what their due dates are. So that's kind of a chart that shows you when items are due within the system. When you actually click on the title, this is what you're going to be brought to. These are various tabs or section types within your performance evaluation. Now this one is an example of grounds. I'm actually going to demo a custodial one when we get to the actual system, but you'll see that they look very similar. So you will be able to click on next, and you will see here that job knowledge and responsibilities. So whether it's grounds, whether it's service, whether it's custodial, these have been pre-populated for you based on discussions with your supervisors. You will also notice that right here is a link. Let me scroll beyond here, is a link to what we call the Performance Management Toolkit. If you simply click on that, and I will show you when we get into the site, it will actually open up into another tab on your computer. You will be able to see the resources that the HR team has added for you. The next section on your evaluation is in fact university competencies. Everybody in the university will be rated against the same group of competencies. So it is important for you to make sure that you take some time to read these over because you will in fact be rated on these. The next area in the system is a professional development. So you have the ability to add professional development items. The team at HR has put together a nice set of instructions for employees. So if you just follow these instructions, you would be able to add a professional development. You will simply click on that page. You will click on Add Professional Development. For the first year, you are only going to be able to add new. Okay, so you won't have anything else that you'll be able to add. But next year, you may have added a professional development item that maybe you didn't get completed for some reason. Maybe you got a new tasking, and so you didn't have an opportunity to complete it. And so maybe you want to bring it back for the following year. So you will be in future years be able to add from a previous review. This year you won't have any previous reviews, so you will just be adding new. When you do that, you will open up this kind of a box that asks for a title and description. So again, up here in the instructions, it says basically a brief description. So you can just put the title. Maybe it's, for custodial, maybe you're, going to a specific course for cleaning substances or something like that, hazardous materials, things like that. You may, that may be a professional development item for you. And then in the description, maybe the date of the class and what you expect to get out of that class. And then you can add as many professional development items as you want. Section 4 for the review is the same for everybody. Because of the way our system is built, everybody sees all of the same tabs or section types. So you will see an overall rating, but no action is required. This will only be available during the actual rating period, so you won't have to worry about this one. Once you get to the end of the review, you will be on what we call a next steps tab. So in between step 1 and step 3, and I know I'm jumping, so I'll tell you that step 3, so when you finish reviewing it, it's going to go to your supervisor. So your supervisor will in fact do your ratings, complete that step in the process, and then they will move it into what they call supervisor employee review discussion. At this time, they're going to schedule a meeting with you. So it won't be so much that you'll need to come into the system to do anything, but that you'll be, asked to come in like you do every year and go over your review. Once this step has been completed, you will have the ability to acknowledge your review. So again, once it gets to that step, you as an employee will receive that email notification letting you know you will have, again, that same link that you will be able to log in by clicking on that link. You will go to your performance review because it will be all that you will see, and you'll see that it is at this step, employee acknowledge. You'll click on the title, and then you can review, and you will have the ability at the end of the process to add any final comments that you would like to make. That is the only change that you can make on the evaluation at that time, is to add your final comments. Your supervisor will get the review back so that they can review any final comments that you have made, and then they will move it into the status of evaluation complete. So on this slide deck, I'm only covering the steps that you actually have to do. When we actually look at the site, it may be just a bit different, but I've learned through my many years of working in higher ed that you want the information that is most pertinent to you. So once the evaluation is complete, then you as an employee, as I said earlier, will always have the ability to view your performance. So you will be able to log back into the system. You will come, and at this point, this is where you're going to use the About Me. You will click on Performance Reviews, and you will basically be back to a screen where you will be able to change the status. That is very important because when you first get on that screen, there may not be anything there. It may just be blank. Okay, so always make sure that you change that status to complete, and then hit the search button. Once you do that, then you will be able to see a copy of your completed evaluation. You can also use all, sometimes depending upon how many reviews you have, time after time after time, that may get a little hectic. So using status complete to view anything that's already been done will be there. And it's nice for you to be able to see them because next year you might want to be able to refer back to them. And you will simply click on View the Report and the document. So when you go to view the report, it will no longer be in those section types or that tab formation. It will now be one comprehensive form that you will be able to view the final comments and all of the ratings and comments with regards to each one of your items. Okay, so before I move on into the site, are there any questions?
I don't see any in the chat case, so I think we're okay to move on.
Okay, so I have two employees set up here. I have Miss Sally, who is going to be my custodian. She's my employee. And then I have Charlie, who is her supervisor. So again, you folks will not have to worry about doing this, but from a demo perspective, I'm going to come in as Sally. Oops, and I knew eventually that would probably catch me. So give me just a minute here and we're We're also experiencing a thunderstorm, so in case something happens, Natalie, Deb, you may end up having to pick this up and run with it, but it's all set in your UAT system. Okay, so let's see if we can get back in now. Okay, so here I am as Miss Sally, and I am a custodian. So let's kind of just review. This is your performance portal. This is the area that you will come to. You are going to see some other things that probably don't even pertain to you as regards to recruitment and onboarding. But as I said in my initial slide, the employees and supervisors basically all see the same thing when you log into the employee performance portal. Okay. You will see your name up here. You will see a journal entry. Journal entries are areas where you can make notes about things that you have done in the past, if you have time to be able to do that. You can literally make a journal entry at any point in time. Not necessary, completely optional. You will also, as you scroll over across this bar, see my team. The items that you see here will only be, in all actuality, you should see nothing, because for the most part, you don't supervise any employees. If you do, then you will see your employees' information. About me, again, is another spot for you to make a journal entry. We'll come back to this performance review when we talk about looking at a completed review. But for now, just so that you're familiar with the various tabs, you'll focus on the About Me and my performance review. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the title. And you're going to see that basically the first step in your process is to review your job responsibilities for the coming period. You'll also want to review everything that's on here. You will see the deadline. So this is the final date that these should all be, this step in the process should be completed by. You will simply click on Next. You will notice that on every single section that we have here, there is a set of employee instructions. So please review the job knowledge and responsibilities. So I said for custodians, for grounds, and for service, and I believe for maintenance, we have actually preloaded. The difference is if we have any maintenance folks in the training, you will also be able to add additional job responsibilities. But for grounds, for service, and custodian, yours have all been preloaded. So again, important for you to kind of review them, make sure that you understand everything, because you will be rated on these items. Okay. And you will simply click on Next. We will now move into the university competencies. Again, same thing here, a set of instructions for you as an employee. And then the various items that you're going to be rated on. So it will be important for you to read through each one of these so you'll understand. If you have any questions, you can clearly ask the HR or your supervisor, whichever. As I said, you have a link here to the Performance Management Toolkit. And when you click on it, it will open it up in another tab. So there are a whole different groupings of information here. I knew that was going to happen. All right. So you'll review those. You'll simply click on Next Step. You will have the ability to add any professional development items that you would like to attempt or complete. You can click on Add Professional Development. Remember, as I said, this will not appear for your first year because you won't have anything to pick from for a previous year. So you will simply click on New Professional Development. You will enter whatever that happens to be. So you want to make sure you take credit for attending this training. You also have the ability to upload a document. So if it's something that you've already completed, that you want to make sure that your supervisor is aware of it, you can also add that here. And if you have a certificate or anything else, you can click on Upload Document. You'll be asked to select a file. It will point to your computer. So in some cases, you may not have your own computer, so it may not work well for you. But again, you do have the ability to do that. You can add as many professional development items as you want by simply clicking on the Add Professional Development Item button.
Hey, are you able to zoom in your screen a little bit? I think the content's a little tiny on the shared screen.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. So again, you'll be able to do that. Upload the document, and if you want to add another one, you'll simply click on Add and New Professional Development. If you happen to click on it by mistake, you have this little trash can here. You can just delete it. You will get a note at the top of the screen. Do you want to do this? Yes, I do want to delete it. Then you'll click Next. Now, at any point in time, you can go back. So if there was something that you wanted to look at again, maybe you thought of another item that you wanted to add, you can always click the back button as well to move back through the process. So this makes it a little easier for you to see the various items. And then when we click on back, these are for custodian, these are the job knowledge and responsibility items that you have been set up with. Okay, so once we have all of that, we've added our professional development item. Just want to point out, just like I showed you on the slide, you will have this overall rating tab, but again, their system is designed so that everybody has all of the same tabs. You will not have to worry about anything here, but you will click on Next. So you want to complete this process of reviewing your job responsibilities and the competencies and adding your professional development. On this summary page, you will be able to just click on these, and it's just simply one area to give you a final look at the items that you will be rated on.
Hey, we did have a quick question here from someone. They asked if professional development means senior development, and you can log your senior development trainings into the system under the professional development. I believe the MGS group will still have those tracked separately, so they could be other things, such as other trainings that you might do that might not qualify for senior development pay, or just things that you want to accomplish for professional development personally. So it could be the same as senior development, but it could be other things as well. And then if you wanted to log, certain credentials like CPR credits or things like that, you could put that in the professional development section as well of things that you accomplished during the review cycle. All right, Kay, go ahead.
Thank you, Natalie. And so we'll click on Next here. And again, this will take us back. And so oops, come on. Okay. So when you reach the next step, again, simply all you'll need to do is click on Go to Next Step. That will then move it into the supervisor area. So your supervisor will then be responsible. You don't have access anymore to click on it or anything like that. So at that point in time, you will just simply, you do have the ability to log out right here. You will simply log out. I'm just going to simply close. And so that I can quickly move it through the process, but I do want to show you. I am going to log in. What it does look like, just so that you can see what the final product looks like. So your supervisors will come in. They will see your evaluation. Oops. I knew sooner or later that would catch up with me. You won't have to worry about any of these little error messages that we see in the system. Those are strictly because I'm moving faster than the computer. And I, as a supervisor, will come in and I will see that I have Sally's evaluation to complete. And so we do have, Natalie, I know we didn't have a slide on this. Did you want to take a minute to talk about this information?
Yeah, okay, that would be great. And actually, I can share, I have the slide up that I can share, make this a little bit easier if you'd like.
Sure. So I will stop and I'll give it to you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share this real quick. So we will have new rating scales for this upcoming year. And the review cycle year will begin, as Kay mentioned at the beginning, the second week in July, we'll be launching the system and the review process, which I believe deviates from the previous calendar year cycle that the MGS group used. So just note that that'll be coming up probably sooner than it typically would, and it'll be adjusting the review cycle for future. But our new rating scale has now got 4 components. We have exceeding, succeeding, developing, and needs improvement. And so with this new rating scale, we'll probably see, and we would hope to see, majority of folks falling in either the succeeding or developing states. And then we would have on either end, exceeding being those folks that are performing especially above and beyond what the expectations of the role would be. And then needs improvement is obviously for the other end of the spectrum, for folks that are needing to improve in their work. But majority of folks will probably fall and should probably fall in that succeeding and developing. And where developing might come into play is, for example, with new employees who are just starting to learn the skills and duties of their position and haven't been in it long enough to be really performing them at their fullest peak, but they're gaining proficiency, they're making efforts to improve and learn those duties. So we'd see that often with brand new employees during the review cycle, as well as folks that maybe you're taking on something newer that you haven't done before and you just haven't had an opportunity to do it for very long. And then succeeding is going to be where, you know, you're meeting the expectations and the requirements of your position, and you're performing them regularly and with good outcomes. So these would be the new rating scales that you'll see your supervisors using within the system. And so with that, I will stop my share, and Kay, you can take it back over.
Okay, so with that kind of explanation, let's go back over here. So as I said, you know, the manager is going to go through, your manager has the ability to rate not only your job responsibilities, but your competencies. So they'll simply come through, this is what it will look like for you. They have the ability to add a comment, as you can see here. And so they'll complete all of this. They will also be able to add a comment based on your professional development, if they want to be able to do that as well. Oops. And then they'll also be able to give you your overall rating and add in any additional comments around that. So just so that you understand what they'll be going through and what they'll see. Will own this next step as well. So the next step is for the employee supervisor discussion. Again, this is where you will get involved, but you won't have to worry about being in the system. So a manager will set up a meeting with you to actually come in and review your review. Once they are done with that, then they'll mark that task complete. Now they'll have the ability to actually print this out. So if you wanted to see it, we just show you what that looks like so that you'll see it, because you will also have the ability to do this. So this is what the document will actually look like. So when I said when the review is complete, you will no longer see all of the various section types and tabs. You will now see each individual item, all of the ratings. Once your manager makes their final comments, those will appear as well here. So you will be able to see any comments that they've made. So you will see their comments. It will see, so Charlie Performance is my supervisor. So you will be able to see the date and time of they made the comments. And so once they have had that meeting with you, then they will push the button and the system will now move the final step to you, the final step that you need to take to you. Okay, so, oops, there it comes. Let's just hope we don't lose power. All right, so now Sally's gotten an email that says that it's now time to review her evaluation. And so again, you'll log in, you will come in here, and you'll be able to see the deadline, scroll through, be able to now take time to be able to look at the ratings, view any comments. I think the comments were made on this one, so be any comments that the supervisor has made on the particular items. See your overall rating, any comments made there. And at the end of the process, you will be able to scroll down to the bottom and add any final comments that you may have. They are completely optional for you as an employee, but obviously your feedback or your thoughts is greatly appreciated. So might just be a thank you, or I'll be in contact or something like that, or whatever you have for final comments. And then you'll move it into the supervisor reviews, your final acknowledgement. So ultimately, you probably have about 2 clicks in the whole system to be able to move it. Once you do this, then it is out of your range. And so the last step will be for your manager to actually come in and do that. So we'll take that very quickly.
Okay, while you're doing this, I will make mention that if folks need assistance with moving it through the process at all, or navigating the login to the system, or any of those pieces, your supervisors are also trained on the system, so they would be able to assist with that as well.
Don't ever hesitate to reach out for help. So that then at this point, they're really just looking to see whether there were any final comments left. They can see it. They can also, they didn't make any comments the first time around, so they can make a comment. It has been pointed out to them. You will be able to see their comments in your final document. But if they added any additional comments that weren't there originally, that would be the only way you'll be able to see it. You will notice that at this point in time, this is the end of your process. So they will actually move it into the evaluation complete step. It's fairly straightforward step. It means that everything is done. And now from you as an employee, you have the ability to come in to your system. And you will notice that there's nothing under your tab anymore for you to do. you will come up as that last slide in my deck pointed out under About Me and hit Performance Review. This is the screen that you will come to. You will change the status to complete. You will click search. You will now see that this is your completed review. You can see Sally's had been jumping around a lot here, and you will be able to click on view the report. Interestingly enough, I like to point out that any final comments appear at the top of the page. People like to read, they want to know any final comments. So unanimously company-wide, there was the decision to move final comments to the top of the page so people can see those right off the bat. Then you can continue to scroll down and see everything else. If you need to see it again, you'll see your overall rating. Interestingly enough, at the bottom, you will have the availability to print. So if you want a hard copy of this, or you can put it in a PDF and email it to yourself if you want to. The system will always have your reviews. So as years go on and years go on, as long as the GVSU continues to use Page Up, all of your reviews will continue to be here in the system. So you can look back on them from year to year to see what that looks like. You know, a lot of people always like to see their previous reviews, so you will have the ability to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the session.